What is the best blown-in insulation for soundproofing? From a soundproofing perspective, I can't recommend any cavity wall insulation. That's because I've not come across a property that has a cavity wall insulation and doesn't have a noise problem. And forgive me, I only see the bad ones, but let's just look at the facts. If you take a polystyrene ball type thermal insulation blown into the cavity wall, we know that sound travels more easily through that than it does air. What we find is when someone has had the polystyrene balls injected into the cavity walls, they suffer more from impact noises such as footfall, furniture moving, doors banging. That type of impact noise is certainly more pronounced on those properties where someone's had the cavity wall insulated with the polystyrene balls. And that's very similar to the spray foam version. When someone's had their loft spray foamed or they've had foam injected into the cavity walls, those properties tend to suffer more with impact noise. And that's because the cavity wall air gap has been bridged, noise can travel more easily through the foam and the polystyrene balls than it can do air. So what is the best blown-in insulation for soundproofing? I would recommend an acoustic mineral wool. However, having experienced this on my own house and many houses across the UK, looking at a thermal imaging camera, I know not every area in the cavity wall is got to by blowing in insulation. There are lots of pockets of air which has just not had the insulation just doesn't get to those areas, and I think it's far more effective to install a soundproofing solution on the inside of the property. And you can do this using slabs of mineral wool. I think you can get to a lot more noise pass by soundproofing the inside of the property. Whether you have a detached property, a semi-detached or terrace property, by filling the cavity wall with a foam or polystyrene balls, I know that will certainly increase the noise. If you have a detached property, you will hear more footfall, kids running around outside, environmental noise, airplane noise, car, road traffic noise, that sort of noise coming into your property, whereas you didn't have that before. And that's the same for semi-detached and terrace property, but semi-detached and terrace properties, you're likely to hear more impact noise from the structure from noisy neighbours getting into your home. I think cavity wall insulation is one way of insulating your home, but there are many other ways that are certainly a lot more effective from a soundproofing perspective. And please understand, soundproofing is very effective from a thermal point of view. By installing sound insulation to those walls, ceilings and floors, you are reflecting the heat, you're keeping it in, you're making your room more thermally efficient that way. Follow for more useful tips on how to reduce noise in your home.